Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sabhi here from Sabhi's Life. Welcome to another video. So in today's video, I will be telling you about another visa which is called Temporary Activity Visa Subclass 408. And in this temporary activity visa, there are all different type of categories you need to apply for and you need to fulfill the requirement of. So let's start the video. So what you need to do is type this URL address here, what you see, me.homeaffairs.gov.au/visas/getting a visa/visa listing/temporary activity 408 visa. So I will leave this link into the description below and you can directly click on this link to go onto this page. So temporary activity visa. This visa allows you to come to Australia to do specific types of work on a short-term temporary basis. Alright, the first category of visa is Australian government endorsed event visa. So the temporary visa lets you come to Australia to participate in events which are endorsed by the Australian government. You can stay here for up to 4 years and the fees is Australian $315. But if you are already in Australia, and you want to apply for this visa which comes under COVID-19 pandemic events, the fees is free. You do not have to pay anything. You can apply for this visa for free if you are in Australia already. So it is only for participation in certain events that have been endorsed by the Australian government. You can stay in Australia for the duration of the event or up to 4 years. See how to apply if you are employed in critical industry sector during COVID-19. So I will be going into detail in few minutes, but first I will read for you the all different categories of subclass 408 visa. So the second one is a special program visa. This visa lets you stay in Australia to take part in an approved special program. Special programs can include youth exchange, cultural enrichment, or community programs, school language assistance, or gap year school volunteering. This visa is for up to 12 months and cost is 315 Australian dollar. So these points are the same thing what I've just read. Third category of visa is religious work visa. This visa lets you do full-time religious work for religious institution in Australia. You and your family who apply for the visa with you can stay here for up to 2 years and the same cost is 315 Australian dollars. The fourth kind of visa is research activities visa. This visa lets you observe or take part in a research project at a research or tertiary institution in Australia. You and your family who apply for the visa with you can stay here for up to 2 years. Now go on to the fifth category of visa is invited for other social and cultural activity invited participant. This visa lets you come to Australia if you are invited to participate in a community-based events, including sporting events. You and your family who travel on the visa with you can stay here for up to 3 months and this visa costs Australian $315. Sporting activities visa. This visa allows you to play, coach, instruct or educate for an Australian team or do high level of sports training with a sporting organization. You and your family can stay here in Australia for up to 2 years and cost is again 315 Australian dollars. So the other category of visa is entertainment activities visa. This temporary visa lets you come to Australia to work in the entertainment industry on film, television or live production as a performer, production or support staff. You can include family members in your visa application. Cost is 315 Australian dollar. The other category of visa is super yacht crew. This visa lets you work in Australia as a crew member of a super yacht. You can stay here for up to 12 months. Cost is $315. Exchange arrangement. This visa lets you come to Australia as a part of staff exchange with an Australian organization. You and your family members who travel here on a visa with you can stay here for up to 2 years. Cost is 315 Australian dollars. So exchange program is that someone goes from Australia to your country in the company where you work and you come to Australia in exchange of that person going to your country. The other category of visa is domestic work executive and this is the last one. This visa lets you come to Australia to do full-time domestic work in household of a certain senior foreign executive. You and members of your family unit can stay here for up to 2 years. Cost is $315. So the domestic work can include maybe as a chef, or do house chores like cleaning, washing clothes for that executive, take care of their kids if they are younger kids. So these are all different categories of visas, and now I go into the detail of every single visa. So let's go into the detail of Australian government endorsed event. So click on detail. Now I'm onto the page where the details are mentioned about this visa. So let's look at the overview first. Stay for the duration of event up to 4 years. Cost is $315. Processing time, you can see it here. With this visa, you can travel to or stay in Australia to take part in the post-COVID-19 economic recovery event. Travel to or stay in Australia to take part in supporting innovation in South Australia event. Travel to and from Australia as many times as you want while the visa is valid and travel restrictions are not in place. If you are applying for this visa to stay in Australia during COVID-19 pandemic, see Australian government endorsed event, COVID-19 pandemic event. You must apply online, have a letter of endorsement from an approved organization, help with your visa. If you are getting help with your visa before you pay, someone read information on who can help with your visa application. So I will just tell you a little bit about this COVID-19 pandemic event. Let's read this. Let's go on to this link and read what COVID-19 pandemic event is. So Australian government endorsed events COVID-19 pandemic event. Overview. So this temporary visa lets you stay in Australia to work if you are employed in critical industry sector. Stay. If you are working in the critical sector of agriculture, food processing, healthcare, aged care, disability care, childcare, and tourism and hospitality up to 12 months. If you are not working in critical sector, up to 3 months. So this visa let you stay for 12 months if you are working in the critical sector of agriculture, food processing, healthcare, aged care, disability care, child care, and tourism and hospitality. And if you are not working in the critical sector, then you can stay here for up to 3 months. If you currently hold a COVID-19 pandemic events visa that is about to expire, you may be eligible for another COVID-19 pandemic event visa if you wish to remain in Australia to continue working in critical sector, or you are unable to depart Australia before the expiry of your visa due to COVID-19 travel restrictions. So this visa is cost free. So if you are in Australia and your visa is expiring and you are unable to leave Australia because of COVID-19 restriction, you can be able to apply for this visa to extend your stay in Australia. Okay, with this visa you can remain in Australia if you have no other visa options and are unable to depart Australia due to COVID-19 travel restriction. Remain in Australia to work in the following critical sectors during the COVID-19 pandemic: agriculture, food processing, healthcare, aged care, disability care, child care, and tourism and hospitality. If you are a visitor to Australia and cannot support yourself, you should make arrangement to return home. So if you are a visitor here and you do not have the finance to support yourself, then you have to leave country even with restrictions. You cannot apply to extend this visa. You must apply online, be in Australia, maintain, educate, health insurance during your stay in Australia. Applicant working in the critical sectors of agriculture, food processing, healthcare, aged care, disability care, child care, and tourism and health hospitality must have evidence from an employer of your employment or an offer of employment, and that an Australian citizen or permanent resident cannot fill the position. So you need to have evidence from an employer of your offer letter of employment, or if any Australian citizen or permanent residents cannot fill in that position, then you can be able to qualify for that position and apply for this visa. hold a substantive visa that expires in 90 days or less, or your last substantive visa expired 28 days ago. So substantive visa is any visa other than bridging visa, like it can be a visitor visa or partner visa or any visa, but it should not be a bridging visa. Applicant whose departure is delayed by COVID-19 travel restrictions must tell us why the restrictions prevent your departure, hold a substantive visa that expires in 90 days or less, or your last substantive visa expired less than 28 days ago. So it means that even if your visa has expired 28 days ago, you can still be able to apply for this visa. Alright, let's go on to the about this visa. With this visa, you can remain in Australia to work in the critical sector of agriculture, food processing, healthcare, aged care, disability care, child care, and tourism and hospitality during the COVID-19 pandemic. Remain in Australia if you have no other visa option or unable to depart Australia due to COVID-19 travel restrictions. Include members of the family unit in your application. How long you can stay? This is a temporary visa with multiple entries. However, travel restrictions are in place. See leaving Australia. So you can go onto this link and see the details that what are the travel restrictions. If you apply in Australia, the visa start the day we grant it. If you apply outside Australia, you will not meet the requirement for this visa and we will refuse your application. So you need to be in Australia to apply for this COVID-19 pandemic event visa. You cannot apply for this visa outside of Australia. So you may be granted a COVID-19 pandemic event visa for a stay of up to 12 months if you are employed in the critical sector of agriculture, food processing, healthcare, aged care, disability care, child care, and tourism and hospitality. A stay of up to 3 months if your departure from Australia is currently delayed by COVID-19 travel restrictions. Your visa grant letter will tell you how long you can stay in Australia. If you currently hold COVID-19 pandemic event visa that is about to expire, you can apply for a new COVID-19 pandemic event visa to remain in Australia if you continue to meet the eligibility requirement. Stay longer. You cannot stay in Australia longer by extending this visa. If you currently hold COVID-19 pandemic event visa that is about to expire, you can apply for a new COVID-19 pandemic visa to remain in Australia if you continue to meet the eligibility requirement. So you cannot extend that already existing COVID-19 pandemic event visa. You have to apply for a new visa. Include family. You can include members of your family unit who are in Australia with you in your application when you apply, or make subsequent entrant application in IMI account to add family member who are in Australia. You can do this after you lodge your application. Family members who apply with you must also meet health and character requirements. So I have explained to you in detail about how to create IMI account and how to apply for different type of visas through IMI accounts. So cost: there is no visa application charges for COVID-19 pandemic event application. Applicants must select yes to visa application charge concession question and select nil VAC option in the application form. You must have to pay other costs for health check and police certificate. So even though this visa is free, but you still need to pay for health check and police certificate. Apply from: you can only apply for COVID-19 pandemic visa if you are in Australia. Processing time: COVID-19 has had significant impact on visa demand and processing. While we are continuing to process visa application as efficiently as possible, the focus has been on the government critical response to COVID-19. When you lodge your application, we granted you an associated bridging visa. This bridging visa will come into effect if your substantive visa expires before we finalize your application. Your bridging visa will maintain your lawful status in Australia until we make a decision on your application. Your obligation: you and your family must follow all visa condition and Australian law. You and your family need to follow all public health direction to stay safe and help fight COVID-19. Due to urgent need for critical sector workers, we have temporarily implemented a less restrictive policy on use visa condition 8107 work limitation. If we have granted you COVID-19 pandemic event visa to work in critical sector, you should continue to work in critical sector while you have your visa. If you are no longer employed, you should find work in one of the critical sectors listed below or make arrangement to leave Australia. Your activities must not impact the work, training, or job condition of Australian citizen or permanent residents. Learn more about conditions of the visa by clicking onto this link. So working in critical sectors, the COVID-19 pandemic visa critical sectors are agriculture, food processing, healthcare, aged care, disability care, child care, and tourism and hospitality. Due to the urgent need of critical sector workers, we have temporarily implemented a less restrictive policy on visa condition 8107 work limitation. If we have granted you a COVID-19 pandemic event visa to work in critical sector for up to 12 months, you may change employment as long as you stay employed in critical sector. So you can be able to change employment in this visa as well. Work for more than one employer in one or more critical sectors. Work for more than one employer as long as your primary employment in the critical sector. You must tell us about any changes of employment by completing the notification of changes in circumstances. Form 1022. Workers who last arrived in Australia under seasonal worker program and were granted a COVID-19 pandemic event visa must only work for the approved employer. The Department of Education, Skills and Employment DESE must approve any changes to employment. Travel. Read more or current COVID-19 restriction here. Visa label. We will digitally link your visa to your passport. You will not be able to label. You will not get a label in your passport. If we grant you a visa, we will send you grant notification letter containing a visa grant number. You can use this number to access your digital visa record. So you can use this number to go online and see your digital visa. Eligibility. Be in Australia, have a substantive visa that is in effect that expired less than 20 days ago. You can go into the details and read about the substantive visas. Be able to support yourself and any dependents, meet the health requirement, meet our character requirements, have adequate health insurance, be a genuine temporary entrant, have paid back debt to Australian government, not have had a visa cancelled or previous application refused, sign the Australian value statement. If you are 18 years of age or old, you must acknowledge the Australian value statement that confirms you that you will respect the Australian way of life and obey Australian law when you apply for the visa. So there is a form, there's a kind of form, Australian value statement. You need to sign that form to agree that you will follow Australian law and you will obey Australian law. So this was the eligibility requirement. Now step-by-step process. Before you apply, get your documents, apply for this visa. After you apply, and visa outcome. So guys, these are all the step-by-step process what I have read to you in my previous videos. So I won't go through this again because these are the same information I have read it out to you in my previous videos. So I will go on to this option now. When you have this visa, again I have read this to you before. These are the same information what I have read just in the beginning of this video. So that's what it's all about this Australian government endorsement COVID-19 pandemic event visa. Now go on to another. So come back to this page, Australian government endorsed event visa. About this visa, travel to stay in Australia to take part in COVID-19 economic recovery event or the supporting innovation in South Australia event. Include family members in your application. How long you can stay? This is a temporary visa with multiple entries. However, travel restrictions are in place due to COVID-19 restrictions. You may be granted a visa for the duration of that event or up to 4 years. So until that event lasts, you will be granted that visa. If the event is for 1 year or 2 years, you will be granted that visa for 1 or 2 years. Otherwise, the maximum period of stay is 4 years. You can travel to and from as many times. You can travel to and from Australia as many times as you want while the visa is valid and travel restrictions are not in place. If you apply in Australia, the visa start to the day visa starts the day we grant it. If you apply outside Australia, the visa stay period starts the day you enter Australia on this visa. Your visa grant letter will tell you how long you can stay. Stay longer. You can't stay longer. You can't stay in Australia longer by extending this visa. Include family member. You can include family members, and they have to meet the health and character requirements. Subsequent entrant. If we grant you the visa, your family member might be able to apply to join you in Australia later as subsequent entrant. So if your family member is not here in Australia, they can come to you to join you in Australia. If you so for that you need to apply for them separately. Cost is 315 Australian dollars. And now eligibility requirement. Be approved to take part in an Australian government endorsed event, post COVID-19 economic recovery event. Only businesses supported by the Global Business and Talent Attraction Task Force will have access to this visa to support the relocation of their essential workforce for the initial 18 months of establishing their operation in Australia. To be eligible for the visa, you must be endorsed by your employer as a key member of a staff required to assist with the relocation of the business to Australia. So only businesses supported by the Global Businesses and Talent Attraction Task Force will have access to this visa. To support the relocation of their essential workforce for their initial 18 months of establishing their operation in Australia. To be eligible for this visa, you must be endorsed by your employer as a key member. So this is what the information is about the post-COVID-19 economic recovery event. Supporting innovation in South Australia event. You must be endorsed in writing by the South Australian government to take part in supporting innovation in South Australia. Be able to support yourself and any dependents. You must have enough money to support yourself and any dependent family member who travel to Australia with you. So just letting you know, guys, that above what I have just read, if you cannot understand anything what I have just read, please feel free to ask me in the comments below, and then I will answer each and every question of yours and try to explain it to you what exactly that means. What exactly that means. Meet the health requirement, meet the character requirement, have adequate health insurance, be a genuine temporary entrant, have this level of English language. So the above things I have read it to you before, but this is something new. Have this level of English. If you are participating in supporting innovation in South Australia event, you must have a vocational English. So if you click onto this vocational English link, you will be able to know that what kind of English requirements you need to have. Now, have paid back debt to Australian government, not have had visa cancelled or previous application refused, sign the Australian values statement. Now, step-by-step process is the same. I have read to you many times before. When you have this visa, this is also very similar to what I have read before. Now go back to the first page. So this was about the Australian government endorsed event visa I have read. And in this endorsed event, I also read to you the COVID-19 pandemic event visa. Now I go on to the special program visa in details. Special program stream. This visa lets you stay in Australia to take part in an approved special program. Special programs can include youth exchange, cultural enrichment or community programs, school language assistant or gap year school volunteering. With this visa, the applicant can take part in special program in Australia to exchange culture, knowledge and social experience, stay in Australia for usually up to 12 months with member of the family unit, apply for the visa in or outside Australia but not in immigration clearance. You must have an invitation to participate in an approved social program, be supported or sponsored depending on your circumstances. Apply online. This visa only you can apply online. and the cost is $315. Stays for up to 12 months. Let's go on to the about this visa. With this visa, you can stay in Australia for usually up to 12 months, travel to and from Australia as many times as you want, include members of the family unit in your visa application. The activity aims to enhance this activity aims to enhance international relations and cultural exchange by allowing people to share cultural and social experience and knowledge in the Australian community through participation in activity specific programs. Cultural exchange should be the main purpose of the program. There are 4 special programs types under this visa. Okay, so this activity aims to enhance international relations and cultural exchange by allowing people to share cultural and social experience. Okay, the first category is cultural enrichment or community benefit program. Other programs. This program type lets you take part in activities in Australia to exchange ideas, beliefs, ritual, customs, and tradition with people of different or similar ethnic or social backgrounds. We encourage approved Australian organizations to promote these exchanges to foster mutual understanding and tolerance in Australian community. The program should last between 3 and 12 months. Your activities might include learning about Australian indigenous language and cultures, pastoral care, religious teaching, and evangelism, social research, environmental conservation or outdoor education, teaching other languages and cultures, volunteering with charity to do outreach work. You can't undertake training or tourism as your primary activity. Your sponsor must be signed in a special program agreement with us. Okay, the second category is School Language Assistance Program. This program type lets you assist an Australian language teacher at an Australian school for up to 12 months. You must intend to pursue a career in teaching. You must only work as teaching assistant at the school. You will assist qualified Australian language teacher in language and cultural matters. The Australian school does not need a special program agreement with us. So, School Language Assistance Program. School to School Interchange Program. This program lets you to come to Australia as a school assistant for up to 12 months. You must have recently completed your schooling and can be on gap year before starting work, further studies or training. You will work as voluntary assistant. You will not replace qualified teaching staff or take formal classes by yourself. Your home school, usually a boarding school, does not need a special program agreement with us. So, School to School Interchange Program. Alright, Youth Exchange Program. This program allows for a stay in Australia for between 3 and 12 months. To participate in youth exchange program, your sponsor must be part of a broader organization that sends young Australian overseas for similar experience. Your sponsor must have a special program agreement with us. So interchange program, school to school interchange program was that you are teaching as a voluntary teacher. So school to school interchange program was that you are teaching in some school as a voluntary teacher but not replacing any qualified teacher. But in exchange program, someone has to go from here to work in your country as a teacher and you are come here. So youth exchange program. In this program, this program allows for a stay in Australia for between 3 and 12 months. To participate in youth exchange program, your sponsor must be a part of broader organization that sends young Australian overseas for a similar experience. Your sponsor must have a special program agreement with us. The program should usually last up to 3 to 12 months. Your home organization must allow an Australian to have a similar experience in foreign country. Your sponsor must sign a special program agreement. So this exchange program is for youth only, like for grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 students who wants to come to Australia to experience Australian way of lifestyle. They can come here on this exchange program visa, and same for Australian student who is a youth can go to your country to experience your culture and your way of living. So how long this visa can stay, how long you can stay on this visa? This is a temporary visa. We grant the length of a stay based on the activity we approve you to do in the visa. We usually grant visa for no more than 12 months. This visa is granted with multiple entry, so you can leave or re-enter Australia as many times as you want while the visa is valid. If you are overseas when the visa is granted, the visa stay period starts on the day that you enter Australia. If you are in Australia, the visa starts on the day that is granted. Your visa grant letter will tell you how long to stay. Stay longer, you can't stay in Australia longer by extending this visa. So explore your visa options. So you can click this link to explore the other visa options you could have if you want to stay longer, but you cannot stay longer by extending the same visa. Include family members. You can include members of the family unit in your application when you apply, or add family members to your application at any time before we make the decision. Family members who apply for the visa with you must also meet health and character requirements. Subsequent entrant. If we grant you the visa, your family members might be able to apply to join you in Australia later as subsequent entrant. Cost is $315. You can apply this visa in or outside Australia. Processing time. Your application might take longer if if you do not fill it incorrectly, you do not include the documents we need, or we need more information from you. If it takes us time to verify your information, we can't process your application if you don't pay the correct visa application charges. We will let you know if this is the case. Your activities might take longer to process. Your obligations. Your activities must not harm the work, training, or job conditions of Australian citizen or permanent residents. You and your family must meet all visa conditions and follow Australian law. Learn more about the condition clicking on this link. If your sponsor, supporting organization, or individual stops your activity or employment, you must do one of the following. If eligible, apply for a new visa or leave Australia within 28 days of stopping work for your sponsor, supporter, or earlier if your visa is expiring. Travel. You can travel outside Australia and return as many times as you want while the visa is valid. The time you spend outside Australia does not extend the visa. Visa label. We will digitally link your visa to your passport. I have explained this to you before. Eligibility. Be a genuine temporary entrant. Have paid back your debt to Australian government. Not have had a visa cancelled or previous application refused. Step-by-step process is the same as I've read to you many times before. When you have this visa, this is also the same information. I have read it to you before. Now go on to the another category of subclass 408 visa. So now the third one is religious work visa. Now let's look at the details. Overview. Stay for up to 2 years. Cost is $315 With this visa, you can do full-time religious work to serve a religious institution in Australia. Stay in Australia for up to 2 years with a member of your family. Apply for the visa in or outside Australia, but not in immigration clearance. You must have an agreement to work full-time for a religious institution in Australia. Be supported or sponsored depending on your circumstances. Apply online. So you can apply this visa only online, not through paper form. About this visa. With this visa, you can do full-time religious work for a religious institution in Australia. Travel to and from Australia as many times as you want while your visa is valid. Include members of your family. The work you do must directly serve the religious aim of religious institution in Australia. You can do secular work like administration or aged care for the institution. So beside the religious work, that also include a secular work like administrative task or aged care. If you are taking care of some elderly person, you can also come onto this visa. Religious work could include providing spiritual leadership, conducting worship, teaching or offering guidance on religion, providing pastoral care, proselyting proselytizing, other high-level specialist work relating to these things. So people who do not know what proselytizing mean is, it means to convert someone to different religion. I will just read it out to you. You can always, if you cannot understand any meaning of some word, you can always Google it. You do not need to ask anyone. The internet has provided you this facility that you can Google and search the meaning of any word you want to understand. So proselytizing mean is convert or attempt to convert someone from one religion, belief, or opinion to another. So that's what it means, guys. How long you can stay? This is a temporary visa. We grant the length of stay based on activity we approve to do on the visa. The maximum stay is for up to 2 years. The visa is granted with multiple entries, so you can leave or re-enter Australia as many times as you want. If you are overseas when the visa is granted, the visa stay period start on the day you enter Australia. Stay longer. You cannot stay longer on this visa. You have to apply. As a religious worker, you can apply for a second temporary activity visa, but you can't stay in Australia for more than 4 years in total on the first or second visa. So even if you apply for a second visa after your first visa has expired, the total period of staying is 4 years. So it doesn't matter how many times you apply for this visa, first time, second time, third time, but once 4 years are completed, you cannot stay longer. You cannot apply for any other new visa. Include family members. You can include members of your family unit in your application when you apply. Add family members to your application at any time before we make a decision. Family members who apply for this visa must meet health and character requirement. Cost is $315. Apply from in or outside Australia. When you apply for the visa and when we decide on your application. Processing time. Your application might take longer to process if you do not fill it incorrectly. You do not provide all the required documents because they need to verify each document. That's why the process time can be delayed. Your obligation, you and your family must meet the visa conditions and follow Australian law. Travel. You can travel outside Australia and return as many times as you want while your visa is valid. So it is again a digital visa, and you can, once you have your visa number, you can go online and check your visa eligibility. Have a suitable employment contract. You must have an agreement to work full-time as a religious worker with a religious organization. Your wages and employment condition must meet necessary standards under the relevant Australian legislation award. So guys, this religious visa is not a voluntary visa. You cannot come to Australia for religious reason as a voluntary basis. You need to be in employment with that organization, and you should get paid according to the Australian legislation and award. So if you go on to this, if you click on this link, it will exactly tell you that how much salary or wages you should be getting. If any religious organization employ you and giving you less amount of wages or not the right wages, you can always go on to this page by clicking on this link, and would be able to know that what exactly the amount of salary or wages your employer should be giving you. Have a supporter or a sponsor. So you need to have a supporter or a sponsor. If you click on these details, you need a supporter. You don't need a sponsor. So you do not need a sponsor to apply for this visa if you apply outside Australia and intend to stay for less than 3 months. So you do not need a sponsor if you are staying for less than 3 months and you are applying outside Australia. However, you must have a supporter who passes the support test to apply for this visa. So you must need a supporter for this much stay of visa. So you need a sponsor. When you need a sponsor, you need a sponsor who is a temporary activities sponsor to apply for this visa if you applying in Australia. So if you are applying in Australia, you need a sponsor. If you apply outside Australia and intend to stay for more than 3 months in Australia, then also you need a sponsor. Have the right experience or qualification for the work you are doing. You must have the appropriate experience and qualification to do the religious work that is set out in your agreement. Be able to support yourself and any dependent, meet health requirement, meet character requirement, have adequate health insurance, be a genuine temporary entrant, have paid back debt to the Australian government, sign the Australian value statement, declare you have not paid for your sponsorship. You must declare whether you have or have ever engaged in conduct that could constitute a breach of the prohibition and paying visa sponsorship when you apply for this visa. You must declare whether you have ever engaged in conduct that could constitute a breach of the prohibition on paying for visa sponsorship when you apply for this visa. Not have had any visa cancelled in the or previous visa application refused. Step by step. So these are the same step-by-step processes what I have read to you before. It's the same as which was in previous categories of visa. When you have this visa, it's the same information as before I have read many times to you. So now go on to the another category of subclass 4 temporary activity visa, subclass 408. So now the fourth one, research activities temporary activity visa, subclass 408. Let's go on to the details. So overview, stay. Okay, research activities visa. This visa lets you observe or take part in a research project at a research or tertiary institution in Australia. You and your family who apply for this visa can stay up to 2 years. Cost $315. With this visa, you can observe or take part in research project at a research or tertiary institution in Australia. Stay for up to 2 years. Apply for this visa in or outside Australia, but not in immigration clearance. You must have a sponsor or supporter depending on your circumstances. Be invited to observe or take part in research at an Australian research or tertiary institutions. Apply online. So about this visa, with this visa you can observe, take part in project or research. I have read this to you before. So researcher activities, you might be eligible for this activity type if you are an academic who has made significant achievement in your field, are employed or were employed in the past as an academic or at a tertiary institution, have been invited to observe or take part in an Australian research project at an Australian tertiary or research institution, usually in collaboration with other academic employed there. Research student activities, you might be eligible for this activity type if you are a student or recent graduate of an overseas educational institution. So you might be eligible for this activity type visa if a student or recent graduate of an overseas educational institute. If you are a student or recent graduate of an overseas education institute, you have been invited to undertake research related to your field of study at an Australian tertiary or research institution. If you have not yet graduated, you must be undertaking the research to meet the requirement for your overseas qualification. How long you can stay? This is a temporary visa. We grant the length of stay on the activity we approve you to do on this visa. Maximum stay is 2 years. The visa is granted with multiple entries, so you can leave or re-enter Australia as many times as you want. If you are outside Australia when the visa is granted, the visa stay period starts on the day you enter Australia. Stay longer, again, like previous visas, you cannot stay in Australia longer by extending this visa. If you need to stay longer to complete your research activities, you will need to submit a new application for the visa. So it means you have to apply for this visa again if you want to stay longer for the research activity. Include family members, you can include family members. Cost is $315. Eligibility requirement. Be invited, have a supporter or a sponsor. So have a supporter or a sponsor is the same detailed I have read to you before. Be an established academic researcher, research. So if you click onto the you need a supporter or you need a sponsor, so these are the same details I have read this to you in the previous category of visa. Be an established academic research student or a recent graduate. Be able to support yourself and any dependent. Meet health and character requirement, health insurance. Be a genuine temporary entrant. Have paid back debt to Australian government. Sign an Australian value statement. Declare you have not paid the visa sponsorship. Not have had visa cancelled previously. Step by step process is the same as before. when you have this visa, the same information I have read to you before. Now go on to the other category of visa. Invited for other social and cultural activity, invited participant. So let's look at the details of this visa. Stay for up to 3 months. So this visa can only last 3 months. With this visa, you must have been invited to take part in community-based event in Australia. You can stay in Australia for up to 3 months with a member of your family. You can apply for this visa in or outside Australia. You must be invited to take part in the event. Apply online, have a sponsor or supporter help with your visa. If you are getting help with your visa before you pay someone, read information who can help with your visa application. So read this link. I have discussed this in detail with you in my previous videos. So please go on to those videos and listen, and you will find all the information you need in that video about that help with your visa. About this visa, with this visa you can take part in a community-based event for a cultural or social activity such as sporting, religious, artistic or academic event, or a conference. Travel to and from Australia as many times as you want while your visa is valid. Include member of your family unit. Example of cultural or social event. So you must be an individual sports person. Or member of a sports team or team support staff such as manager, medic, coach, referee or official. But you are not eligible for this stream if you have been contracted to play for a coach or Australian team. A minister conducting religious service or taking part in other religious activities as the guest of an Australian religious institution, working at religious event, an academic invited by a tertiary academic institution to lecture, hold worship or take part in research. A public speaker or a lecturer. So a public speaker or a lecturer can also apply for this visa. Speaking, presenting or lecturing at a trade fair, expo, exhibition, conference, workshop or seminar. An entertainer attending a specific promotional event but not performing. So even if you are attending a specific promotional event for some entertainment company, and even if you are not performing, you can still apply for this visa. An artist making visual art or exhibiting your work. An author presenting your work to an audience at a writer festival. A choreographer conducting a dance workshop that includes an unticked closing performance. A choreographer conducting a dance workshop that includes an unticketed closing performance. Okay, if you are a competitor, a non-sporting competition such as dance competition, music competition, online gaming competition, or student competition, you might also consider visitor's visa. So if you are a competitor in a non-supporting competition such as dance competition, so you should consider visitor visa. This visa is not for you. Other visa options. Depending on your visa for travel, another stream of this visa or different visa might be more suitable. So other visa options are the entertainment stream must be used if you are an entertainer or performer working in the Australian entertainment industry, production crew for competition being filmed in Australia, a journalist or other media personnel covering an event for an Australian audience. So in other visa options, depending on your reason for travel, another stream of this visa or different visa might be more suitable. Okay guys, so the entertainment stream must be used if you are an entertainer or performer working in Australian entertainment industry, production crew for a competition being filmed in Australia, a journalist or other media personnel covering an event for an Australian audience. The sports stream might be more suitable if you are a sports person contracted to apply for a coach, an Australian sporting event, a sports trainee taking part in high-level structured sport training program of more than 3 months. The religious work stream might be better if you are doing the full-time religious work. Research stream might be better if you are invited by a tertiary academic institution to take part in research for more than 3 months. The temporary work short stay specialist subclass 400 visa might be more suitable for you if you are a journalist or other media covering an event where coverage is not intended for an Australian audience. Someone else working at the event, such as project manager or a specialized construction worker. A visitor visa might be more suitable for you if you are attending or taking part in trade fair, expo, exhibition, religious or cultural event, conference, workshop or seminar, but you are not entertaining or being paid to contribute. An amateur sports person training or taking part in recreational match. An unpaid volunteer supporting an amateur sports team or a sport person or a team. Okay guys, how long this visa can stay? How long you can stay on this visa? This is a temporary visa. We grant the length of stay based on activity we approve you to do on the visa. The maximum stays for up to 3 months. The visa is granted with multiple entry. You can leave or re-enter as many times as you want on this visa. Stay longer. You can't stay Australia longer by extending this visa. So you have to choose other visa options to stay longer by clicking onto this link. Include family members. You can include family members in your application when you apply. Add family member to your application at any time before we make decision. Family members who apply for the visa with you must meet health and character requirements. Subsequent entrant. If we grant the visa, your family member might be able to apply to join you in Australia later at subsequent entrant. Apply. You can be in or outside Australia when you apply for the visa and when we decide on your application. Processing time is, again, I have read this to you before. Your obligations is the same. Travel visa label, I have spoken to you about this before. It's the same as it is for the previous visas. Eligibility requirement. Be invited to take part in a social or cultural community activity. You must be invited to travel to Australia temporarily by an Australian organization to take part in social cultural activity associated with community-based event. Have a supporter or sponsor. Be able to support yourself. Meet health requirement, character requirement. The rest of it is all the same as I have read to you before. Step-by-step process is the same. When you get this visa, it's the same. So let's go on to the other category of 408 visa. Other activity is sporting activities. Sporting activities visa. So let's go on to the details of this visa. Stay for up to 2 years, $315. With this visa, you can play, coach, educate or instruct for an Australian team, do high-level sports training and with a sporting organization. Stay for up to 2 years with your family members. Have a sponsor or supporter. Have a contract and a letter of support from a peak sporting body. Not work outside your specified sporting. About this visa. With this visa, take part in a structured sports training program at the national or international level. Play for, coach, instruct or educate for an Australian sporting team or sporting organization for a season. Travel to and from as many times as you want while you are on this visa. Include members of family. You can't do any other work. You can't do any work other than approved sporting activity. If you are coming to Australia as a member of an overseas sports team, you could apply for temporary activity visa subclass 408, invited for other social and cultural. How long you can stay? You can stay for up to 2 years. Stay longer. You cannot stay longer. You have to apply for a new visa. You can include your family members. Cost is $315. Eligibility requirement. Have a supporter or sponsor. Be an eligible sports trainee, elite player, coach, instructor or educator. Take part in full-time structured sports training if applicable. So let's go on to the detail of this one a little bit. Apply as a sports trainee. Apply as an elite player, coach, instructor or educator. Let's go on to a little bit more detail. So you must be able to show you are currently compete or educate at Australian national level or equivalent, or be endorsed by a relevant peak supporting body as having the potential to compete or educate at Australian national levels or equivalent. Apply as an elite player, coach, instructor or educator. Mustafa, shor nahi karo. You must have an established reputation in your sporting field as you apply as an elite player, a coach, an instructor, an educator. You must be endorsed by an Australian national sporting body as being able to play, coach, instruct or educate the sports at a national level. Take part in full-time structured sports training if applicable. You must be undertaking undertaking full-time structured sports training aimed at achieving a high performance outcome with an internationally recognized sports training organization if you apply for this visa as a sports trainee. Have a suitable formal agreement if applicable. Let's look at the detail of this one. You must have a suitable formal agreement with your sporting club or sporting organization in Australia if you apply for this visa as an elite player, a coach, an instructor or an educator. Be able to support yourself and any dependent, meal health requirement and all the same what I have discussed with you before. Step-by-step process is the same, and when you have this visa is also the same. Now look at the other category of 408 visa, which is entertainment activities visa. Details overview. So this visa up to 2 years costs 315 Australian dollar. With this visa you can work on film, television or live production in the entertainment industry. Stay in Australia for up to 2 years with members of your family. Apply for visa in or outside Australia but not in immigration clearance. You must have contract or other proof of your engagement. Have access to enough money to support yourself and any dependent who travel with you in Australia. Apply online. So you can only apply this visa online, and as I've told you that you have to create an IMI account, and through that IMI account you can be able to apply for this visa. About this visa, with this visa you work in entertainment industry in Australia as a performer, production or support staff, travel to and from Australia as many times as you want while your visa is valid. Include any family member in your application. Entertainment activity categories. You apply for this visa under one of these categories. Performing in film or television production subsidized by government. Performing in a film television production not subsidized by government. Performing other than in film or television. Working in a production role other than as a performer. Working as support staff for an entertainer or group of entertainers. Working as a performer or support staff for a non-profit engagement. Working on a documentary or commercial for an overseas market. So entertainment activities category, these are the list of categories you can apply this visa under. Examples of eligible work. Eligible work could include acting in television or film production, making a celebrity cameo appearance, a contestant or worker on a reality TV program who receives a salary, stand-up comedian, international musician or support staff, live theater performer or support staff, singer, classical musician, internet video performer, cultural performer, documentary presenter, celebrity appearance in a commercial, non-performing production or technical crew, journalist or other media personnel covering an event, choreographer giving a dance workshop that include a ticketed public closing performance. Other visa that might suit you, consider different temporary activity stream or different visa if you are planning to work as an entertainment attending a promotional event only without performing. See the invited participant stream of this visa. So by clicking on to this link, you will be able to find the details that if you are an entertainer performing a promotional event only without performing, then click on this link. An artist creating visual art or holding exhibition of works, see invited participant stream of this visa. An author at a writers festival presenting work in front of an audience, see invited participant stream of this visa. A dance choreographer conducting a dance workshop that include a closing non-ticketed performance, see the invited participant stream of this visa. A journalist and or other media personnel covering event for non-Australian audience, see temporary work short stay specialist visa subclass 400. A competitor in a non-supporting competition for dance, music, or online gaming, see invited participant stream of this visa. A contestant of a reality show not receiving a salary, see the invited participant stream of this visa or visitor visa. So this link you can only click and see the information if you are not receiving a salary as a contestant for a reality show. So for both people who are receiving salaries or not receiving salaries, this visa can be applied, but you need to click on these links to see other visa options. How long you can stay? If you are not receiving salary or wages, the other visas might suit you are all these categories. You need to click on each link and have a look at the details that how you can apply for those visas. If you are not receiving salary, this visa is not for you. You have to apply other visas, which you will get information by clicking onto these links. How long you can stay? You can stay for up to 2 years. You can travel inside, or you can leave or re-enter Australia as many times as you want. Stay longer. This visa cannot be extended. You have to apply for a new visa. You can include your family member, and they have to meet health and character requirement. Cost is $315. Eligibility: have a supporter or a sponsor, have a contract or other proof of your activity in Australia, be able to support yourself and any dependent, intend to work in eligible entertainment activity category, meet the health requirement, character requirement, health insurance, you should be genuine temporary entrant, have paid back debt. It's all the same what I have read to you before. Step-by-step process is also the same. When you have this visa is also the same. Let's go on to the other category, other type of 408 visa, which is Superjet Crew. Let's go on to the details of this one. Overview: up to 12 months stay, up to 12 months, 315 Australian dollars the fees. With this visa you can be a crew member on a superjet in Australia, stay in Australia for up to 12 months, apply for this visa in or outside of Australia, but not in immigration clearance. You must have a contract to work as a superjet crew member, a letter from the owner of the superjet confirming the person's employment as a member of the crew of the vessel. Have a supporter or a sponsor depending on your circumstances. About this visa: with this visa you can work as a crew member on a superjet, travel to and from as many times as you can while your visa is valid. A superjet is a high level luxury sailing or motor vessels so this is an important information about this visa. A superjet is a high value luxury sailing or motor vessel that is 24 meters or long, doesn't carry cargo, is used for sports or recreation. How long you can stay? You can stay for up to 12 months. You cannot stay longer by extending this visa. You have to apply for a new visa. Cost is $315. You can apply within Australia and outside Australia. Processing time: if you do not provide the documents properly or there is any information you did not give, then it can delay your visa processing. Your obligation is you have to follow the laws, Australian laws, and travel. You can travel outside Australia and return as many times as you can. Visa label: you will get a digital link of your visa on your online. It will not be physically attached to your passport. Eligibility requirement: have an employment contract or letter confirming employment, have a supporter or a sponsor, be able to support yourself, and all the other requirements is the same what I have read to you before. Step-by-step process is the same, and when you will get this visa is also the same what I have read to you many times before. Now go on to the other category of visa, exchange arrangement. Let's go on to the details of. So this visa is for up to 2 years, 315 Australian dollars is the fees. With this visa you can take part in staff exchange and work in an Australian organization, stay in Australia for up to 2 years with members of family units, apply for this visa in or outside Australia but not in immigration clearance. You must have the skills and experience to exchange jobs with an Australian citizen or permanent residence, have a sponsor or a supporter, apply online. About this visa, with this visa you can take part in a reciprocal staff exchange with an Australian organization, travel to and from Australia as many times as you want, include a family member. How long you can stay? This is a temporary visa. We grant the length of the stay based on the activity we approve you to do. And this visa, the maximum stay is 2 years. The visa is granted with multiple entries, so you can leave Australia or re-enter Australia as many times as you want, but it won't extend your visa going overseas in between this visa. You cannot stay longer by extending this visa. There is a different requirement for staying longer for this visa. If the staff exchange agreement is extended or will run longer than originally planned, you can apply for a further subclass 408 exchange arrangement visa. You can't stay in Australia longer by extending this visa. So again, you cannot extend this visa. You can be able to apply for a new subclass 408 visa if you had to stay longer. You can include your family members. Cost is $315. All the rest is same. Eligibility requirements: have a supporter or a sponsor, take part in reciprocal staff exchange. Let's look at the detail of this one. You must intend to work in a skilled position as a part of reciprocal staff exchange arrangement with an eligible organization in Australia. There must be a written agreement between your organization and the organization in Australia that sets out the staff in Australia and overseas who will take part in exchange, the skilled position to be filled by the participant, how long the exchange will last. Have the necessary skills and experience for the position. You must have the necessary skills or experience to perform the skilled position set out in the exchange agreement. Benefit from the exchange: the exchange arrangement must benefit both you and the Australian citizen or permanent resident taking part. Be a genuine temporary entrant. So I have read this to you before about the genuine temporary entrant requirement. You must meet the health requirement, character requirement, and all the rest is again the same. Step-by-step process is the same. When you have this visa is also the same, what I have read to you before. Now go on to the other category of 408 visa. Domestic work for executive. This is the last temporary activity. Visa, which is called domestic work for executives visa. Stay for up to 2 years. Cost is $315. Go on to detail. With this visa, you can do full-time domestic work in the household of a certain senior foreign executive. Stay in Australia for up to 2 years with a member of family unit. Apply for this visa in or outside Australia. You must be 18 years old or older. Be invited to work in the household, be experienced in domestic work, be supported or sponsored. About this visa: with this visa, you can work full-time as a domestic worker in the household of certain senior foreign executive. Travel to and from as many times as you want while you are on this visa. How long you can stay on this visa: this is a temporary visa. We grant the length of stay based on the activity we approve you to do on the visa. Maximum stay is 2 years. This visa granted with multiple entries, so you can leave Australia and come to Australia as many times as you want until this visa is valid. Stay longer. You cannot extend this visa, but you could apply for further 408 domestic worker visa if the foreign executive is remaining in Australia for more than 2 years. You can include your family members in your application when you apply. Add family member to your application at any time before we make a decision. Family member has to meet the health and character requirement. Eligibility requirements: have a supporter or a sponsor, be invited to work, have a suitable employment contract. Your wages and employment condition must meet the necessary standard under the relevant Australian legislation and award. So as a domestic worker, you need to make sure that you get the right wages or salary. You don't get cash wages. And if you would read this Australian legislation and award, you will be able to find out that exactly what wages you should be getting from your employer. Be able to support yourself and any independent. Be 18 years or older. Meet the rest is all the same. Step-by-step process is also the same, and when you have this visa is also the same, what I have read many times. So guys, I have read all the categories of visas comes under temporary activity visa subclass 408. I hope you found this video really helpful and you understood most of the information I said. I gave it to you. If you have not understood anything, please write in the comments below or personal message me on my Facebook account and ask me anything you could not understand, and I would go and I would help you. I would try my best to help you and give you that information as much as I can. I will try to explain it to you in the most easiest way you can be able to understand what you did not understand, the information I have gave you. So please make sure to subscribe and like and comments on all your socials with hashtag Sabhi's Life, and I will see you in my next vlog. Thank you. Bye.